the silence before the storm. Welcome to Twisted Heartstrings. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm so glad you found us. This is a place where we share real stories about love, betrayal, and the strength we find when life tests us. Today's story will take you on an emotional journey that proves a mother's love knows no boundaries. Please hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a story. Now, let me tell you what happened when my son told me I wasn't welcome at his wedding. My name is Emma. My name is Emma Clark, and I'm 58 years old. For the past 20 years, I've owned a small Italian restaurant called Bella Nate in Portland, Oregon. It's not fancy, but it's mine. Every brick, every table, every recipe came from my own hard work and dreams. After my husband David died in a car accident when our son Marcus was only 10 years old, I had to become both mother and father. I worked 16-hour days, saved every penny, and built a life I was proud of. The boy who was my world. Marcus grew up to be everything I'd hoped for. He became an architect at 30 years old, designing beautiful buildings that changed city skylines. He was kind, thoughtful, and talented. Every Sunday morning, he'd come to my house for breakfast. We'd sit in my kitchen, drinking coffee and talking about everything: his projects, my restaurant, our memories of his father. Those mornings were sacred to me. Marcus would always say, "Mom, you're not just my mother. You're my best friend." Those words meant everything to me. After losing David, Marcus became my reason to keep going. I watched him grow from a sad little boy into a strong, successful man. He graduated from college with honors. He bought his first apartment. He started his career. And through it all, we were close. Or at least, I believed we were. The day everything changed. Then, one Saturday afternoon in March, Marcus called me. "Mom, I want you to meet someone special. Her name is Isabella. Can we come for dinner next Friday?" My heart filled with joy. My son, finally serious about someone. I'd been waiting for this moment for years. I immediately started planning the perfect meal: homemade lasagna, garlic bread, tiramisu for dessert. I cleaned my house until it sparkled. I bought fresh flowers for the dining table. When Friday arrived, I was so nervous and excited. The doorbell rang at 7 o'clock. I opened the door and saw Marcus standing there with the biggest smile on his face. Next to him stood Isabella Rodriguez. She was beautiful, long dark hair, perfect makeup, wearing an expensive designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. She looked like she'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. First impressions. "Mom, this is Isabella," Marcus said, his eyes shining with happiness. "Isabella, this is my mom, Emma." Isabella smiled at me, but something about that smile felt wrong. It didn't reach her eyes. "Hello, Mrs. Clark," she said in a sweet voice. "Marcus has told me so much about you. He says you make the best Italian food in Portland." "Please, call me Emma," I said warmly, stepping aside to let them in. Come in, come in. Dinner is almost ready." As they walked into my living room, I noticed how Isabella looked around my house. Her eyes moved over my furniture, my decorations, my family photos on the walls. She wasn't admiring them. She was judging them. I could feel it. During dinner, I asked Isabella about herself. "So, Isabella, what do you do for work?" She smiled that same cold smile. "I'm a photographer and social media influencer. I have over 200,000 followers on Instagram. Brands pay me to promote their products." Small red flags. "That sounds interesting," I said, though honestly, I didn't fully understand that kind of work. "How did you two meet?" Marcus started to answer, but Isabella spoke over him. "We met at a gallery opening 5 months ago. Marcus was there looking at architectural photographs, and I was displaying my work. He was so handsome and smart. I knew right away he was special." 5 months. They'd only known each other for 5 months. Throughout dinner, I noticed other small things. When Marcus talked about his childhood, Isabella would interrupt and correct him. "No, honey, you told me it was winter, not summer," she'd say, even though Marcus was talking about his own memories. When I asked Marcus about his latest project, Isabella answered for him. "He's designing a commercial building downtown. It's very stressful. That's why I've been helping him relax and focus." Helping him relax? What did that mean? I let it go. Maybe I was being too sensitive. New relationships have awkward moments. I wanted to give Isabella the benefit of the doubt. For Marcus's sake, I would try to like her. The distance grows. After that dinner, things started changing slowly. The Sunday morning breakfasts became less frequent. First, Marcus said he couldn't come because he and Isabella had plans. Then he said Isabella thought Sunday mornings should be couple time. By June, the Sunday breakfast stopped completely. When I called Marcus, Isabella was always there in the background. I could hear her voice. "Is that your mom again? Didn't you just talk to her last week?" Once, I called during his lunch break at work. He answered, sounding rushed. "Mom, I can't really talk. Isabella's texting me. She needs help with something." "Marcus, I just wanted to hear your voice," I said. "We haven't talked in 2 weeks." He sighed. "I know, Mom. I'm sorry. Things have been busy. Isabella says I need to focus more on building our future together. She says I spend too much energy on the past." The past? Was I the past? I felt a cold feeling in my stomach, but I stayed calm. "Honey, I understand you're building a life with Isabella. That's wonderful. But I'm not the past. I'm your mother. I'll always be part of your life." There was silence on the other end. Then Marcus said quietly, "I know, Mom. I have to go. I'll call you soon." The engagement bomb. But he didn't call soon. 3 weeks passed. I tried not to be pushy. I didn't want to be that mother who couldn't let go. Then, on a Tuesday morning in August, my phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Marcus, but it wasn't the message I'd been hoping for. "Mom, big news. I proposed to Isabella last night. She said yes. We're getting married in 3 months." So excited. 3 months? I read the message 5 times. They'd been dating for only 8 months, and now they were getting married in 3 months? Why the rush? I immediately called Marcus. The phone rang 4 times, then went to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail again. Finally, I sent a text. "Marcus, congratulations. This is wonderful news. Can we talk? I have so many questions. I want to help with the wedding planning. Love you." An hour later, my phone rang. But it wasn't Marcus. It was Isabella. "Hi, Emma," she said in that sugary sweet voice. "Marcus is in the shower, but I saw your message. We're so thrilled. Locked out of the planning." "Isabella, I'm so happy for you both," I said, trying to sound genuine. "A wedding in 3 months is fast. Do you need help planning? I'd love to be involved." There was a pause. Then Isabella said, "That's so sweet of you to offer. But Marcus and I really want to do this ourselves. It's important to us to be independent, you know? We're adults building our own life." Adults. That word felt like a tiny knife. "Of course you're adults," I said carefully. I wasn't trying to take over. I just wanted to help. "I've been saving money for Marcus's wedding since he was a little boy. I want to contribute." "That's generous," Isabella said. "But we don't need money. We have everything under control. Marcus and I are paying for everything ourselves. We want it to be our wedding, not anyone else's." The way she emphasized our made it clear she meant, not yours. "Can I at least see Marcus for a moment? I'd like to congratulate him personally." "He's still in the shower. I'll have him call you later, okay?" She hung up before I could respond. Marcus never called me back that day, or the next day, or the day after that. Excluded and forgotten. Over the next 2 months, I was systematically shut out of everything. I asked about the guest list, no response. I asked about the venue. Isabella said it was a surprise. I offered to help with dress shopping. Isabella said she was going with her mother and sisters only. I asked about the rehearsal dinner. Marcus said they weren't having one. Every time I tried to connect with my son, Isabella was a wall between us. Once, I drove to Marcus's apartment, hoping to catch him alone. When he opened the door, I could see Isabella standing behind him with her arms crossed. "Mom, what are you doing here?" Marcus looked uncomfortable. "I just wanted to see you, honey. We haven't talked in weeks. Can I come in?" Isabella appeared beside him. "Emma, this really isn't a good time. We're in the middle of wedding planning. Maybe you should call first next time." She closed the door before Marcus could say anything. I stood in that hallway, staring at the closed door, feeling like a stranger. This was my son, the boy I'd raised alone, the child I'd sacrificed everything for. And now I couldn't even have a 5-minute conversation with him? The text that broke my heart. 3 weeks before the wedding, my phone buzzed at 9 o'clock at night. It was a text from Marcus. My hands were shaking as I opened it. "Mom, I need to tell you something, and I don't know how to say this easily. Don't come to my wedding. Isabella doesn't want you there. She says you've been unsupportive and critical of her from the beginning. She says you're trying to control our relationship. I need to put my future wife first. Please respect our wishes. I'm sorry. I read those words over and over. Don't come to my wedding. My vision blurred with tears. My only child. The boy who'd held my hand at his father's funeral. The teenager who'd helped me open my restaurant. The man who'd called me his best friend. He was uninviting me to the most important day of his life. When had I been critical? When had I been controlling? I'd been nothing but kind to Isabella, even when my instincts told me something was wrong. I called Marcus immediately. It went straight to voicemail. I called again and again, 10 times. Every call went to voicemail. I sent a text with trembling fingers. Marcus, please call me. We need to talk about this. I love you. Please don't do this. No response. For 2 days, I barely slept. I couldn't eat. I cried until I had no tears left. I replayed every interaction with Isabella, searching for what I'd done wrong. I came up with nothing. I'd been polite, welcoming, and respectful. So why was she doing this? The moment everything became clear. On the 3rd day, something inside me changed. The sadness turned into something harder and clearer. I sat at my kitchen table with cold coffee and looked at the family photos on my wall. Photos of Marcus as a baby, as a little boy, as a graduate. Photos of the two of us laughing together. That wasn't fake. Our bond wasn't fake. No, something else was happening here. Isabella wasn't just a difficult daughter-in-law. She was deliberately separating Marcus from me. But why? I opened my laptop and started researching. I typed Isabella Rodriguez, photographer, Portland, into the search bar. Her Instagram profile came up immediately. I scrolled through her photos. Designer handbags. Luxury vacations to Paris, Dubai, Bali. 5-star restaurants. Designer clothes. A lifestyle that cost tens of thousands of dollars every month. How did a photographer with 200,000 followers afford all this? I clicked on her older posts from 2 years ago. There were photos of her with an older man, silver hair, expensive suits. The caption on one photo said, "With my love, Michael at his beach house in Malibu. Hashtag blessed, hashtag luxury, hashtag love." I clicked on the tag name. Michael Thornton. I recognized that name. He was a real estate mogul who'd been in the news for a messy divorce and bankruptcy last year. I scrolled through Isabella's timeline more carefully. The posts with Michael stopped abruptly in October last year, right when his financial problems became public. 2 weeks later, the first photo with Marcus appeared. My blood ran cold. This wasn't coincidence. Isabella hadn't fallen in love with Marcus. She'd targeted him, and I was the only obstacle in her way. My silent decision. I picked up my phone and called my bank. Yes, this is Emma Clark. I need to close some accounts today. Joint accounts I share with my son Marcus Clark. Within an hour, I'd transferred $86,000. Every penny I'd saved for Marcus's future back into my personal account. Then I called my lawyer, Thomas Rivera, who'd helped me with my restaurant business for years. Thomas, I need to see you tomorrow morning. It's urgent. It's about protecting my son's inheritance. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't feel sad anymore. I felt focused, clear, determined. If Isabella thought she could manipulate my son and steal his future, she was about to learn a hard lesson. I wasn't some weak old woman who could be pushed aside. I was Emma Clark. I'd built a business from nothing. I'd raised a son alone. I'd survived the death of my husband and kept going. And I was about to fight for my child like I'd never fought for anything before. The war had begun, and I wasn't going to lose. Unraveling the web. Welcome back to the story. Hello again, beautiful souls. If you're just joining us, make sure you watch part 1 first so you understand how we got here. Emma just discovered that her future daughter-in-law Isabella might be a gold digger who targeted her son Marcus. Emma has closed the bank accounts and called her lawyer. Now, things are about to get intense. Hit that like button if you're rooting for Emma, and let's continue this emotional journey together. The morning after my decision, I woke up the next morning feeling different. Not sad, not scared, determined. I had an appointment with my lawyer Thomas Rivera at 9 o'clock. I dressed carefully in my best business suit, the navy blue one I wore for important restaurant meetings. I needed to look strong, confident, like someone who meant business. Thomas's office was downtown, in a building with marble floors and tall windows. His secretary showed me into his conference room. Thomas was already there, a man in his 50s with gray hair and kind eyes behind his glasses. He'd helped me with every legal document when I opened Bella Nate 20 years ago. He knew my story. He knew how hard I'd worked. Meeting with my lawyer. "Emma," he said, standing to shake my hand. You sounded worried on the phone. What's going on? I sat down and told him everything. The whirlwind romance. The sudden engagement. Isabella's expensive lifestyle. Marcus uninviting me from the wedding. The Instagram photos with the bankrupt real estate mogul. The bank accounts I just closed. Thomas listened without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and was quiet for a moment. Emma, I need to ask you something directly. What do you want to accomplish here? I want to protect Marcus, I said immediately. I want to make sure that if this marriage happens, Isabella can't take everything I've worked to build for him. I have money saved for his future. I co-signed on his apartment and his car. I set up a trust fund when he was born. I need to know she can't touch any of it. Protecting what I built. Thomas nodded slowly. We can absolutely protect those assets. Let's start with the trust fund. You set that up when Marcus was born, correct? Yes. It has about $125,000 in it now. He can access it when he turns 35. Good. You're the trustee, which means you control it. We can add language that makes it crystal clear this money is Marcus's separate property, not marital property. Even if he stays married to Isabella for 50 years, she can never claim a penny of it. Relief flooded through me. Please do that. Now, the co-signing situation, Thomas continued. You're on his apartment lease and his car loan. That's trickier. You can't just remove yourself without Marcus's cooperation or without paying penalties. But here's what I recommend. Document everything. Keep records of every payment you've made, every contribution. If Isabella tries to claim those assets in a divorce someday, we'll have proof of your investment. The private investigator. Thomas tapped his pen on the table. Emma, there's something else you should consider. If you truly believe Isabella is running some kind of financial scheme, you need evidence. Concrete proof. I know someone who can help. He wrote a name and phone number on a piece of paper and slid it across the table. Rachel Chun. She's a private investigator. She specializes in background checks, financial histories, fraud cases. She's discreet and very good at her job. I stared at the paper. Hiring a private investigator felt extreme. It felt like spying. But then I remembered Marcus's text. Don't come to my wedding. I remembered Isabella's cold eyes during that first dinner. I picked up the paper. Call her for me. Tell her I need to see her today, if possible. Rachel Chin called me 2 hours later. Her voice was professional and calm. Mrs. Clark, Thomas Rivera explained your situation. I have an opening this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Can you come to my office? I'll be there, I said, meeting the investigator. Rachel's office was small but neat, with filing cabinets along one wall and a desk covered in folders and a laptop. Rachel herself was in her early 40s, with short black hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. She had the look of someone who'd seen a lot and wasn't easily surprised. Mrs. Clark, have a seat, she said, gesturing to a chair across from her desk. Before we begin, I need to be honest with you. Most of what I find in cases like these isn't pleasant. People don't hire me when everything is going well. Are you prepared to learn things that might be difficult to hear? I need to know the truth, I said firmly. Whatever it is. Rachel nodded. All right, give me the basic information. Her full name, date of birth if you know it, where she lives, where she works, social media profiles, anything you have. I gave her everything I knew about Isabella Rodriguez. Rachel typed quickly on her laptop, making notes. Okay, she said. This is going to take me about 3 days to compile a full report, but I can do some preliminary searches right now while you're here. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. She pulled up databases I didn't even know existed. Credit reports, court records, property records, social media archives. The first discoveries. After about 20 minutes, Rachel turned her laptop screen toward me. Look at this. This is Isabella Rodriguez's credit report from last month. I leaned forward. There were numbers in red. Lots of red. What am I looking at? Debt, Rachel said bluntly. Isabella has $52,000 in credit card debt across 7 different cards. Most of it was accumulated in the last 18 months. 5 of these cards are in collections, meaning she stopped paying and the companies are trying to collect the money legally. My stomach dropped. $52,000? That's not all, Rachel continued, clicking to another screen. This is a court filing from 4 months ago. Isabella was evicted from her previous apartment for non-payment of rent. She owed 3 months of back rent, $7,200 total. For months ago. That was right before she met Marcus. So she was broke and homeless when she started dating my son, I said slowly. Rachel nodded. It appears that way. Now look at this. She pulled up Instagram on her screen, Isabella's profile. You see all these luxury posts? The designer bags, the expensive trips? Most of these were posted during the time she was dating Michael Thornton. The pattern becomes clear. The real estate developer, I said, remembering. Exactly. Michael Thornton. I ran a search on him too. He dated Isabella for approximately 2 years. During that time, he bought her a car, a Mercedes, paid for her rent in a luxury apartment downtown, took her on international vacations. Then, in October of last year, his company declared bankruptcy. His wife filed for divorce. His assets were frozen. Rachel clicked to another screen. Look at the timeline. Isabella's last post featuring Michael was October 15th. Her first post with Marcus was November 2nd. 18 days later. The room felt cold. She moved from one wealthy man to another. That's the pattern, Rachel confirmed. And there's more. I found 3 other men in Isabella's social media history going back 6 years. All of them significantly older than her. All of them wealthy. Each relationship ended when the man had financial problems or when she found someone richer. The fraud discovery. I felt sick. Marcus isn't even that wealthy. He makes a good salary as an architect, but he's not rich like those other men. No, Rachel agreed. But Marcus has something else. A mother who worked hard and saved money. A mother who co-signs on loans. A mother who probably told him about trust funds and inheritances. Isabella is smart. She's not just looking at Marcus's current income. She's looking at his future potential. Rachel clicked her mouse again. And there's one more thing. This is the most serious. A document appeared on the screen. Official looking, with legal letterhead. What is that? I asked. This, Rachel said carefully, is a loan application. Someone tried to apply for a $65,000 personal loan using Marcus's name, his social security number, his employment information. The application was submitted 3 weeks ago. It was denied because Marcus's debt-to-income ratio didn't qualify. But look at the contact information on the application. She pointed to the screen. The email address was Isabella's. The phone number was Isabella's. She tried to take out a loan in his name? I could barely breathe. Without his knowledge, yes. This is fraud, Mrs. Clark. Identity theft. This is a crime. Making the hard choices. I sat back in my chair, my mind racing. Everything I'd suspected was true. Worse than true. Isabella wasn't just a gold digger. She was a criminal. What do I do? I asked. Can I go to the police? You can file a report, Rachel said. But here's the problem. Marcus is an adult. Unless he reports the fraud and presses charges, it's hard to prosecute. If Isabella claims he gave her permission to use his information, it becomes a he said she said situation. So she can just get away with it? Rachel shook her head. No. Here's what I recommend. Give me 3 days to compile a complete report. Every piece of evidence, documented and organized. Photos, credit reports, court filings, the loan application, everything. Then you present this to Marcus. Not to Isabella, to Marcus directly. Let him see the truth with his own eyes. He won't even take my phone calls, I said bitterly. Then you make him listen, Rachel said firmly. You're his mother. You don't give up. You show up at his door. You send the evidence by registered mail. You do whatever it takes. Because in 2 weeks, he's going to marry a woman who's already committing crimes in his name. Once that marriage certificate is signed, the legal complications multiply exponentially. 3 days of waiting. I left Rachel's office with a sense of purpose, but also dread. 3 days. I had to wait 3 days for the complete report. Those were the longest 3 days of my life. I went to work at Bellinate, but I couldn't focus. My chef Antonio noticed. Boss, you okay? You seem far away. Family problems, I said. I'll be fine. But I wasn't fine. I kept checking my phone, hoping Marcus would call. He didn't. On the second night, I couldn't sleep. I got up at 2 in the morning and sat in my kitchen, looking at old photo albums. Marcus as a baby, learning to walk. Marcus on his first day of school. Marcus graduating from college, his arm around me, both of us smiling. Where was that boy now? How had I lost him? On the 3rd day, Rachel called. The report is ready. Can you come by this evening? I'll be there at 6, I said. The complete evidence. Rachel had printed everything. A thick folder, maybe 50 pages. credit reports, court documents, social media screenshots with dates and timestamps, a detailed timeline showing Isabella's pattern with wealthy men, bank records showing her accounts and collections, and the loan application with Isabella's contact information circled in red. This is everything, Rachel said. It's organized chronologically. Start with the timeline. That shows the pattern. Then the financial documents. That shows the debt and the desperation. Then the loan application. That shows the criminal activity. It's airtight, Emma. No one can look at this and not see what's happening. I held the folder like it was made of gold. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much. One more thing, Rachel added. I'd recommend you send this to Marcus by certified mail, signature required. That way, you have proof he received it. But also, if possible, deliver it in person. Make him sit down and read it in front of you. The confrontation arrives. That night, I sat at my dining table and drafted a letter to Marcus. I wrote from my heart. Dear Marcus, I love you more than anything in this world. I'm not trying to control you or ruin your happiness. I'm trying to protect you. Please read the enclosed documents carefully. Then make your own decision. If after reading this, you still want to marry Isabella, I'll respect your choice. But please, just look at the evidence. Love always, Mom. I sealed the letter and the folder in a large envelope. Then I addressed it and prepared to mail it the next morning. But that night, at 9 o'clock, my doorbell rang. I looked through the window. Marcus's car was in my driveway. My heart started pounding. He'd come. Finally, he'd come to talk. I opened the door. Marcus stood there, but he wasn't alone. Isabella was next to him, her hand gripped tightly on his arm. Her face was composed, but her eyes were hard and cold. We need to talk, Mom, Marcus said. His voice sounded strange. Rehearsed. Face to face with the enemy. Of course, I said, trying to stay calm. Please, come in. They entered my house like they were walking into enemy territory. Isabella sat on my couch as if she owned it. Marcus remained standing, looking uncomfortable. His eyes wouldn't meet mine. Isabella spoke first. Emma, we know what you've been doing. Closing bank accounts. Talking to lawyers. Hiring investigators to spy on me. This has to stop. My breath caught. How did she know about the investigator? I'm protecting my son, I said evenly. You're harassing us, Isabella shot back. You're trying to sabotage our wedding because you can't accept that Marcus has grown up and doesn't need you anymore. It's pathetic. Honestly, it's elder abuse. We could sue you. Elder abuse. I almost laughed. Isabella, I'm 62 years old and perfectly healthy. And I'm not harassing anyone. I'm being a mother. A controlling, manipulative mother, Isabella said. Her voice was rising now. You've been against me from day one. You look at me like I'm not good enough for your precious son. That's not true, I started to say, but Isabella cut me off. Marcus, tell her, Isabella demanded, turning to him. Tell your mother that you don't want her in your life anymore. Marcus looked miserable. Mom, you have to stop interfering. The evidence revealed. Wait, I interrupted. I walked to my dining table and picked up the folder. Before you say anything else, I need you to see something. I handed the folder to Marcus. Read it. All of it. Then decide who's lying. Marcus hesitated, then opened the folder. I watched his face as he read. Confusion first, then surprise, then shock. His eyes got wider. His face went pale. Isabella, he said slowly. This says you have $52,000 in credit card debt. Is that true? Isabella tried to grab the folder from him, but he held it away. Marcus, don't listen to this. Your mother paid someone to fabricate lies about me. This is all fake. It's not fake, I said quietly. Every document in there is official. Credit bureau reports, court filings, bank records. You can verify all of it yourself. Marcus kept reading. His hands were shaking now. It says you were evicted from your apartment 4 months before we met. You told me you moved because you wanted a fresh start. I didn't want a fresh start. Isabella's voice was getting desperate now. Marcus, baby, your mother is trying to tear us apart. Can't you see that? But Marcus was still reading. He got to the loan application page. I watched the color drain completely from his face. Isabella, this is a loan application in my name. For $65,000. With your email address and phone number. The mask begins to slip. The silence was so heavy I could feel it pressing down on the room. Isabella stood up, and I could see panic in her eyes now. The mask was cracking. I can explain that, she said quickly. We talked about that loan, remember? For the wedding? You said it was okay for me to handle the paperwork. We never talked about any loan, Marcus said. His voice was quiet, but there was steel in it. Isabella, we agreed to keep the wedding simple and pay for it ourselves. You specifically said we didn't need to borrow money. You must have forgotten, Isabella started. I didn't forget, Marcus interrupted. He looked at me for the first time since arriving. Really looked at me. And I saw my son again, the real Marcus, seeing clearly for the first time in months. Mom, is this all true? Every word, I said. I'm so sorry, honey. I didn't want to believe it either. But yes, it's all true. Isabella's face changed completely. The sweet, gentle expression vanished. What replaced it was cold and ugly. Fine, she hissed. You want the truth? Yes, I have debt. Yes, I was evicted. Yes, I applied for the loan. So what? I was going to use that money for us, Marcus. For our future. The ultimate choice. You were going to commit fraud using my identity, Marcus said. His voice was shaking. That's a crime, Isabella. Oh, please, Isabella snapped. You're so naive. This is how the world works. I've been working angles since I was 20 years old. That's how I've survived. And you, she pointed at him. You were supposed to be my ticket to finally being stable. Your mother has money. You have a trust fund. We could have had a good life. So you never loved me, Marcus said. It wasn't a question. Love. Isabella laughed, and it was a horrible sound. Grow up, Marcus. Love doesn't pay the bills. I needed someone who could provide security, and you fit the profile. But your psychotic mother had to ruin everything. She turned to me, her face twisted with rage. This is your fault. He was perfectly happy until you started digging into my past. You couldn't just let him be happy. Happy? I said. He's not happy. Look at him, Isabella. Look at what you've done to him. Isabella's final gamble. Marcus was sitting now, his head in his hands, the folder spread across his lap. He looked devastated. Lost. Isabella saw him too. And suddenly, her expression changed again. The rage disappeared. Tears filled her eyes. She dropped to her knees in front of Marcus. Baby, please, she said, her voice breaking. Don't listen to her. Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, I have debt. But I love you. I really do love you. And if you believe your mother over me, if you choose her instead of me, then we're done. Right now? Forever. She grabbed his hands. Choose, Marcus. Choose your controlling, manipulative mother who will never let you be your own man. Or choose me, the woman who loves you, who wants to build a future with you. Choose right now. The room was completely silent. Marcus looked at Isabella, then at me, then at the folder in his lap. The evidence of lies, fraud, and manipulation. I held my breath. This was the moment. Everything I'd done, every piece of evidence I'd gathered, every risk I'd taken, it all came down to this moment. What would my son choose? The reckoning and redemption. The final chapter begins. Welcome back, beautiful souls. This is it, the moment we've all been waiting for. Marcus has to choose between his mother Emma and his manipulative fiancée Isabella. The evidence is on the table. The truth is exposed. What happens next will shock you. If you haven't watched parts 1 and 2, go back now. You need the full story. For everyone else, let's finish this incredible journey together. Hit like and let's go. The choice that changed everything. Marcus sat on my couch with his head in his hands for what felt like an eternity. Isabella was still on her knees in front of him, tears streaming down her face, begging him to choose her. I stood by the fireplace, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Everything hung in this moment. Finally, Marcus lifted his head. His eyes were red, but his voice was steady. Isabella, get up. She stood slowly, hope flickering across her face. Baby, don't call me that, Marcus said. His voice was cold now, nothing like the gentle son I knew. I need you to leave. Right now. Isabella's face went from hope to shock to fury in seconds. Are you seriously choosing her? After everything I've done for you? I made you better, Marcus. I helped you grow up, become independent. You isolated me, Marcus said, his voice getting stronger. You cut me off from my mother. You lied about everything, your debt, your past, the eviction. And you committed fraud using my name. That's not love, Isabella. That's criminal behavior. Isabella's true colors fully revealed. Fine, Isabella screamed. All pretense was gone now. Her face was twisted with rage. You want to know the truth? Yes, I targeted you. Yes, I researched your family before I even introduced myself at that gallery. I knew about your trust fund. I knew your mother was wealthy. I knew you were a mama's boy who would do anything I said. She grabbed her purse from the couch. But you know what? You're not even worth it. Your trust fund isn't even that big. Your mother's restaurant is a joke. I could have done so much better. Michael Thornton was 10 times the man you'll ever be. Then why did Michael dump you when he went bankrupt? I asked quietly. Isabella whirled toward me. Shut up, you bitter old woman. This is your fault. You couldn't stand that Marcus loved someone more than he loved you. You're pathetic. You're alone. And you're going to stay alone forever while I move on to someone actually worth my time. She stormed toward the door, then stopped and turned back. You think you've won, Marcus? You're going to regret this. I'll ruin you. I'll post everything about you online. I'll tell everyone you're abusive. I'll destroy your reputation. No woman will ever want you after I'm done. Marcus stood up. For the first time since this whole nightmare began, I saw a real strength in him. Get out of my mother's house, Isabella. And if you come near me or my family again, I'll file charges for fraud. I have all the evidence I need.